I'm sure you'll have. So glad to be back with you. So, like all the other lives before this one, basically, I'm in a garage that is slowly going to cook. It's going to cook me. Slowly but surely. But I'm out here for you. So I'm out here a little bit early, so it's a little bit cooler. But ultimately, I'm going to be sweating like crazy. As soon as the temperature hits, those brisk mid 90s, and the ceiling starts to radiate 110 degree heat. So, yeah. I've got my chat set up here so I can watch what's going on, but y'all have to remember that I'm going to be on the same delay as everybody else. I know, like, everyone right now is probably going, holy crap, he's live again, in the shop. But, hey, that's how it works, right? So the idea behind this is just to chat and hang out and see what's going on. Get to know some new people, bring you all in, and hopefully invite you into the fold. And you get to see more of what's going on with the Shrike Ultra as we're constructing it. This is a very long printing process, but other than that, this is just more of a chat and hang out. Let's chill, let's relax, let's talk about stuff, and let's just enjoy the time, right? That's what it's about. You get to come in, talk about what you want to. Obviously, you want to be respectful to everybody. Trolls welcome. Trolls completely welcome. Love the trolls. Because usually I'll flip them and they'll become subscribers. So that's always fun. So, whatever you guys want to talk about, totally fine. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it with this 5 foot by 5 foot drone sitting behind me. I'm working on the last two engines right now. So, basically the idea is you hang out, you chat, talk about stuff, ask questions, and we just get to know each other, and you become, hopefully, part of the crew. So, I've enjoyed the support that everyone has given me so far. You guys are wonderful. It's been great. I'm getting more subscribers, which is awesome. All of you subscribers out there that have taken the time out to subscribe to my channel because they're interested in the content or just the chat and hang out. I can't thank you all enough for that. Without you guys, hey, I'm not here. I'm just another dude in his garage. So, I want to welcome everyone that's coming in. And I have, like I said, I have my chat set up here, but because I'm using the front end of the camera on my phone, I'm on the same chat delay as everybody else. So I will answer questions. I will definitely get so that if I miss what you said in the chat, then I will try to refresh it, because I think that's what happens sometimes. is that. So let's see if it refreshes anything. No, none of you guys are talking. You're just listening, but that's good. That's good. So before we get into the chat and hangout, let's just describe really quickly what's going on behind me over here. You've seen the rest and relax, most of you. I run some sleep music. I'm going to choose some different tracks today and set up another one for tonight. But you see the differences in each one of them. Like, you'll see a more complete fan. Like on the bench, I've got a couple of fans I'm still working on because I've got to do the last 2 fans for this drone. And printing takes a long time because this is a huge drone. This is fully loaded with its battery system, 70 pounds, 472 pounds of thrust, and hey, how's it going? Welcome. Is it SC Bondley? Yeah, Nina, welcome. How y'all doing? Glad you could make it. See, that's when I just got the chat. So if you sent it a minute ago, that's when I got it. So, am I okay? I'm doing great. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. We're here just to do, like I said, a chat and hang out, and to, if anyone's interested, is to discuss the massive drone that I'm building behind me. I think I need 2 more 5-gallon buckets just to hold the other cells. But, yeah. Glad you're doing good. Glad you're doing good. Glad you could join us. Like I said before, this is a chat and hangout, so when we get to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. The drone project, obviously, if you're interested in that. Or anything else going on in the world, or if you just want to talk. I like to get to know the people who drop by. I like to know my subscribers. I try to answer every single comment that comes through, even on my videos or the shorts or anything I put out. It's because it's all about the community. I love the drone community, the DIYer community, and kind of combining those together is what kind of brought me to this monster behind me. So, yeah, that's how it works. This is not just a test platform or a prototype that isn't going to fly. This is going to fly. Much like the smaller Shrike drone that I put together in the Shrike Concept drone playlist, which was just done out of 70mm EDFs. It was a fun little drone to fly around, it really is. And the concept just sort of grew on me. And I thought, what do I do about larger motors? I want to do this really big, scaled up one, but all of these higher end EDF engines are so expensive. Like nowadays, you can't buy anything for any less than $5-6 grand a motor, So I set out to design and build my own. So the idea was, I build my own motor, I build my own system, completely 3D printed. This entire drone, completely 3D printed, all the way down to the turbines. Okay. So it's an EDF system, obviously, not an open prop. And we have done some testing already. Each individual bench test for the motors. This will come apart because basically this is more of a dry fitting of how I have everything set up. This is like basically half the drone. And then all of the body work is done. I just have to get some more components to kind of round it out, finish it out. The bus bars for the power supplies, ESCs, a couple more motors. I am cutting some heat sinks out on the MPCNC that we have over here, and that's working out pretty well. It takes a little while with the MPCNC, but man, have you all seen that Carvera Air? That's like the coolest desktop CNC machine I can think of. I could think about getting, and it is in a decent price range as long as someone's interested in purchasing a kidney. But it's cool. It's like I think I could eventually take all the STLs that I have for the fan that I've designed and alloy them, mill them out of an alloy, T7075 aluminum or better. And that will, of course, be the load bearing, the weight bearing blades. The PETG test blades do pack a lot of thrust, and they have the flexibility to survive. We've already survived 5,000 to 5,800 RPMs, and the motors require 75 volts. This is an 18S system, so basically we're going to test this all the way up to 9,000 RPMs, and then it's maiden time. We're gonna fly this thing. I have a lot of different color schemes set up for the bodywork and the nacelles. So what's gonna happen is I'll be able to switch them on my transmitter. I have several switches. The Arduino's signal from those are going to be controlled from a UART on the SpeedyBee F405 wing, which is going to control the whole system. And basically I'll be able to switch all those lighting patterns up, and it's going to be really cool. So we're going for UFO sighting. This thing has a footprint of 5 feet by 5 feet. In the air, it's going to be completely unavoidable to notice this. And since there's 4 of these engines that are going to be spooling up in my backyard when I do a hover test out there, my poor neighbors are going to think there's a 747 landing in my backyard. Which is totally fine. It's going to kick up some dirt, though, I'll tell you that. Especially with 340 millimeter fans. So, and I know I had a lot of questions. Everyone's like, well, this is a 3D printed PET. Aren't you worried about it flying apart or breaking? Can it handle it? I've pushed these blades pretty hard. I really have. I've pushed the fans itself. Actually, I can probably just show you here. I've got one complete. Now, in each one of these nacelles is a 340 millimeter fan. Yes, it's out of PETG, but it's very rigid. Right now I'm finishing up fan 3 and fan 4. You can tell basically what I've done is I've designed it to where it slots in. So just tap them into place. Everything's friction fit. There's no glue on the whole system, and I'm up to 5,000 RPMs already. So it's working out really, really well. These 2 fans right here. Let's see if we can't, hold on one second. Now I'm not going to spin this up like the full throttle, because what's going to happen is it's not tied down. I've got to remove the Funko Pops off of there, right? The system is not tied down. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run it to show you that everything's working like it's supposed to. Don't want to knock that off. Alright, so we plug in the receiver. Now the receiver is on a separate channel altogether. Not a separate channel, a separate battery source. Lose down. Woo. So hopefully you can kind of hear what's going on. What did I knock off? Oh, battery pack. This is a rechargeable battery pack, came off the table. That's what I mean. It's got some torque. I'm trying to hold this so that All right, here we go. Okay, I don't want to go any higher than that indoors, especially with this thing not chained down. So we're going to go ahead and unplug that. But I just wanted to show you that everything is functioning like it's supposed to. Well, let me read the chat. Hey, Koplacker? Koplacker? I don't know how to say that name, and I don't want to offend you. Oh, I'm doing well. Oh, you saw the last shorts? Cool. I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the chat. We're just, playing with engines. I'm showing you what I'm doing here. This is basically half the drone and its body right here. So. Spin it up slow so I can watch this. Blowing stuff off the table. Okay, let's shut down the power supply before I do something drastic. All right, hold on. Unplug the receiver. Yes, we know. Receiver's unplugged. Lighting system is going to be controlled, like I said, via the UARTs on the Speedy Beast, so I'll be able to tie it to switches. And I have several lighting plans that I have for the lighting strips that are in the nacelles, which will be in all 4 nacelles, plus there's going to be lighting strips inside the body. So, yep, that's the plan. And usually these, when I do these chats, it's more or less to hang out, get to know everybody, and welcome some new people in. You have a drone. Hold on, let me read this word. I'm on the same delay as you guys are with the chats, so bear with me. Oh, are you running iNav on yours? What's your flight controller? Or is this like a pre-built one? I'm curious. So if it's something you're running on iNav, it's one thing. If it's a DJI thing, I couldn't help you. Okay, so it does have a programmable flight controller. Have you used iNav, or is it Betaflight? Like, what controller do you use? Or what programmer do you use? I'm reading the chat, that's why I'm looking down, sorry. Well, yeah, if you're using iNav, I would recalibrate the gyro completely. Just start from go into the recalibration tab and just do the sitting down, upside down, sideways, how it tells you to do it. Do the recalibration, and then check the gyro again and see if that solves the problem. Another issue, depending on how the drone's designed, could be your gyro filter. You have several settings in the gyro filter section. Depending on how the setup is, if they pre-programmed it, I wouldn't do a lot of messing around with it. But if it's something that you had to program, I would definitely just start with a recalibration, and then check your gyro. Make sure the stack is stable, and that it is on those rubber cushions and not directly against the frame mount, so you're not having to deal with that prop vibration propagating through the body and then going into the gyro and causing malfunctions. You have a good one, Koppler. Coplacker? Well, anyway, thanks for stopping by. Well, they come and go, right? That's the whole purpose behind having a live chat, is they come and go. So realistically, when you, like with the problem that this person had with the gyro, if you're using iNav, if you're using Betaflight, it's always good to just start with just a fresh recalibration of the gyro. Go from there. If it still continues to do that, I would check and make sure that your motors are spinning in the right direction underneath the motors tab and outputs. Make sure, because there's several ways that it can confuse itself. If everything's working like it's supposed to, your motor direction's good, your props are aligned perfectly, everything's set up right, you've done a recalibration, your gyro's good, then I would basically start with a slow hover and make sure it takes off straight up. If it has GPS navigation on it, obviously, like most of them do, you're going to have give it time to arm and find out where it is before you take off. You usually have a specific set of beeps that lets you know that when it's ready to arm. Other than that, if you're still having the issue and it's taking off and then wanting to go sideways, it may be a faulty gyro. But first, I would check those gyro filters to make sure that you have everything set up properly on that. So, without getting too much farther into the drone aspect of this thing, if anybody wants to just talk about something, that's what it's for. It's like an open chat. Yes, I do specific content, but I love to do the open chats because I love to meet new people and, get you guys to enjoy the chat, talk about what you want to, what's going on in life and how things are going and how everyone's handling the heat. I am currently in a garage that's going to slowly cook me here shortly. So, but I've been missing the vertical lives. I've been missing the opportunity to get out there and kind of do these lives. People used to love them, but once summer came along and I have no insulation on the roof of the shop, I get this like anywhere from 100 to 110 degrees of radiant heat that comes from the ceiling straight down and just cooks me, So, yeah. But I took the chance today, even though it's going to be another warm one, to try and come out a little bit earlier to get a live up so I could kind of talk to everybody and get to know you guys and welcome you in and just have a chat. Is everyone excited for the fact that summer's almost over? My wife wants to put the Christmas tree up already, but it's like find fall decorations now. So we're getting there, getting into that favorite kind of weather, and I can't wait for it. I love the season. I love the fall season. I love just the cool air and the smell of the leaves when they start to turn and drop, and it's just that fall ambience that just you love it more than you like the summer. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, that's my wife responding right there. Yep, she wants to put up the Christmas tree over. If it were up to her, I think she'd never take it down. She'd be like, there is no other season. Just fall and winter. That's it. Maybe spring. She likes spring. If we could just cut summer out of the equation, I think all of us would be happy. Especially on the West Coast. I mean, it's, standard temps around here. I think the hottest temperature we ever had to deal with here was 115 degrees. And that was brutal. I mean, I don't care if you're running your AC 24/7. 115 in the garage. I'm telling you, it would get up to about 120, 125 during those times. I'm okay with 120, 122, but that's because I had experience in the desert. But that's dry heat, okay? And I know a lot of people are like, that's no excuse. It still sucks. It's hot, But that's, that's what it is. We're used to dry heat over here. And when I went, when I first enlisted into the Army, way back when, after, we were attacked on 9/11, when I got from, I went at the wrong time. So I shipped out to Fort Benning to head to reception battalion from NEPS, and it was in July. So it was already warm. And I get off the plane in Georgia, and I'm like, everyone's like, man, it's like 85, 90 degrees out there right now. I'm like, that's nothing. And then I realized the humidity is like basically a slow boil. I walked out, it was like a sauna when I got off the plane. I was like, wow. So of course, I'm in reception battalion for about a week, 2 weeks, trying to acclimate to this, this new humidity that I'm having to deal with. And they're like, it's only 85, what's your problem? Like, I'm used to like really hot temps, but not the humidity. And it's brutal. So, after reception, we go down range, I get my training unit. And, hey, Delta 347, Sand Hill. Those were the days. I never knew that you could sweat so much that your skin would sting, literally sting from sweating. Because it was brutal. I mean, it's Fort Benning. And it was before all this where they were taking out the shark attacks and all that other stuff. This was real soldier training. They didn't dull it down. They weren't worried about people's feelings. And, I mean, it's the military. You didn't have any rights when you got in there. You belong to the government. And that's how I rolled with it, And I was surprised at how far I made it. And, in that aspect, making it through basic, making it through AIT, and then going to my unit, doing what we had to do, going overseas and dealing with heat, and it was just, you're going from a humid climate that's hot all the way to a dry heat, and you would be amazed at how relieving it is to walk into a 120 degree desert that's dry as opposed to an 85 degree Georgia. I'm telling you. We were like, let's just go to war. It's going to be so much cooler over there. That's how we did it, though. I won't say it here because I don't think they probably want me to, but if they're still around, which I'm sure they are, They're probably retired now. But I remember my drill sergeant's names. I'm telling you right now, you are all, anybody in the military will tell you, you remember your drill sergeant's names. You remember. For eternity, you remember. Because, this was like, that movie Full Metal Jacket. This was straight up, like, in your face, screaming, all kinds of. I mean, they were brutal about it. And I was glad for the training. Afterwards, I was glad for the training because I never thought I was going to be able to run, for a long distance. Then we do like 5-10 mile ruck marches and just a brisk 5 mile run close to graduation. I get done, I come back, and I'm like, that wasn't so bad. 10 minutes later, I was ready to run again. I was amazed at the shape I was in. And never thought I could pull that off. But it's amazing what the human body can accomplish once it has no choice, because you've got those brimmed hats right in your face. I remember doing my last qualification run, the 2 mile. You had to do it under a certain amount of time. And my captain was, he was running, my direction. And he actually started after me, but he was catching up to me because obviously, he was shorter. So like, I'm 6'4", 290. And back then, I had built up so much muscle mass. I was about 310 coming out of basic. So yeah, it was insane. But the funny part was he comes up and he runs up behind me. He's jogging circles around me. I'm halfway through the 2 mile, and he's like, "Come on, man!" I'm like losing steam, at that point, because I was like, just so done. I was so tired. And he's like running circles around me. He's running backwards, and stuff like that, just mocking me. And then finally, I come around this corner on the road that we're running on, which is in the middle, one of the ranges out there. And I see the lantern. Because we started this obviously way before the sun came up. But I see the lantern at the finish line. I could barely see it, and I was out of gas. But whatever happened, man, that captain was like, "Come on, you can do it. Well, why are you going so slow?" He's all, "I'm running circles around," just making fun of me. I was like, "Oh man, I had any energy left right now." But when I saw that lantern, something just hit me, I knew it was right there, and I took off. I was already just done, and I all of a sudden took off. And all I could hear is my captain behind me going, "That's what I'm talking about right there." And I crossed the finish line, and everything I ate, it was gone. Right on the side of the road. I just, because I pushed myself so hard. But I made it. And I don't know, that was a really big accomplishment for me. Especially to hear your captain behind you cheering you on, because you're out of gas, but then you see that finish line and you lock in and you're like, I've got more. I can put out more. I'm going to pay for it later, but I can put out more. So one valuable lesson that they taught me was that no matter how far you go, when you think you're out of it, when you think you can't go anymore, you can get back up and you can keep going. You just got to focus on that light at the finish line. And that's what got me through it. And I can't thank them enough for training, for being that hard on me and teaching me that my limits weren't what I thought they were. There are no limits. You just got to push yourself. Um, you got it. You got the energy. You got the stamina. You just got to work on it. And afterwards, I mean, this has been 24 years ago when I went in. So 24, 25 years ago. And after a while, you kind of get to the point where you get to an age where you're just sitting around and you're enjoying the fact that you have a home. When I grew up, I didn't have one. I was like, we were street bound, We lived on the streets. I went through it. Everyone's like, why do you like to stay home a lot? You don't have a lot of friends outside of your house. And you don't go hang out with people. It's like, man, I was alone my entire childhood, teenage life. Parking lot to parking lot in a motorhome. I spent enough time being alone. Right? I did not have a dad around. My mom was disabled. The only one that ever taught me anything really was my grandmother. And she taught me a lot. But she taught me about faith, that's for sure. Definitely taught me about faith. Always got to hold on to that faith. And it's definitely worked out for me. Because now I've got a house, I mean, this one's a rental, but I'm hoping to get but I've been here 10 years. And, I'm hoping I'm getting to the point where I can buy my own little retirement plot. Not that kind of plot with a headstone, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Somewhere I could build a house, have some land. Somewhere cooler. I want some snow. I don't want another winter where it hails once or twice, and that's it. But that's what you get in the valley. That's what you get in this heat. Welcome back. Glad you could get back here. I appreciate it. We're just going over my life story in the military. But yeah. So afterwards, I got into a house and I didn't really want to go anywhere. I'm an engineer, so I wanted to stay home. I wanted to create, which is why this monster exists behind me. So I've done several other projects. One of my viewers, Spider, he's really cool, and he goes by the Odd Channel here on YouTube. He isn't gonna mind if I give him a shout out, but he likes the Javelin project that I was doing, and I had to kind of stop that project because of with funding the way I have it, I have to kind of focus on one thing at a time. But I owe him a Javelin, so he is going to get a Super Javelin with much bigger EDFs, and it's going to be more of a tail sitter. And I sort of had this unique way of doing the VTOL system. It was basically a winged aircraft that had the 4 engines, the EDFs like the original Shrike concept drone. And what I did was I took those engines and I placed them top and bottom of the wings on both sides. And then instead of just having one vertical stabilizer, I had a belly stabilizer as well. So it was a tail sitter in a sense that looked like the broad tip of an arrow. And everyone's like, well, how are you going to transition those? Because you've got the motors attached to the body. So how do you transition that way? So instead of putting together some huge complicated system where I'm transitioning the motors from VTOL to forward flight, all I did was I made it simple. I put the flight controller itself on a servo. So in drone mode, it would be sitting flat, The gyro would stabilize the motors. You'd fly it in a stabilized angled mode to take off. And then you would go up, fly forward, so the whole javelin sitting straight up would fly straight forward until it got up to a certain speed, and then you'd flip the switch to go into plane mode. Then the entire the flight controller would rotate on the servo. This reoriented the gyro and kicked in the elevons in the back to try and level the plane out. And that's when you kicked up on the throttle and it would take off. Same thing coming in for landing. You'd come back, you would come into a high alpha maneuver, and then you would switch it back into drone mode. It would automatically stabilize, and then you could land again. The problem was with that design was I needed a little bit more wing area, and I needed to go with 90s instead of 70s on the EDFs. So that's the plan for that. So there is going to be a Super Javelin, you know, just for Spider, you know. Cobbler. He's like, I'm back, bye. Oh, wow. But you know, when I was working on the Jav, there is a playlist where you can see some of the tests I did, and it did hover. It did take itself off the ground easy enough with the 70s, but I was close to the throttle limit to get it to hover. Now, in angle mode, you lose RPMs because the system wants to use the overhead for stabilization. So it will limit the RPMs in angle mode. In plane mode, it lets you have all those RPMs back because now it's assuming you're using lift with wings and flight controls or surface area flight controls. So it kind of releases the rest of those RPMs for you. But with 90s, I can get a stable hover with more power. The ESCs really aren't much bigger. So I think it's going to work out just fine. I do have those iFlight 80s. I think it's the EVP V3s or something like that. I can't remember. I still have all of them. I know it was $300 for all of them, so it's not the kind of thing you just throw away. How I handled the amp, now the current draw, that's the killer right there. The Speedy B F405 wing cannot handle the required 300 amps of current draw at max throttle that all 4 EDF engines called for. So what I did is I paired an APD, which is Advanced Power Drive, 500X, which was a 500 amp power distribution board that was about the same size as the stack for the Speedy B. So what I did is I bypassed the power distribution board on the Speedy B and only used it to power the Speedy B. And then the rest of the power was straight through the 500X, which could handle the amps and the current draw that was required for all 4 EDFs to spin without overheating. So if you look for the Shrike V10 Maiden, you'll see where finally that all culminated into a drone that actually worked well. And I did fly it in angle mode. It was highly capable of way more speed. But I'm not an acro pilot. And since this was an experimental platform, the last thing I wanted to do was take off and then crash it right away. So we kept it in angle mode and stabilization so that we could kind of test the theory. So once we realized the theory was going to work flawlessly, then I decided, well, I want to build a bigger one. Because eventually I want to build one big enough to ride on, like a quad. Like an actual off-road quad, but like an air quad, right? Not like that Volanaut thing where you got like a kerosene turbine under your crotch. Sorry, that's not something I'm comfortable with. And I honestly don't think, I mean, that's a brilliant design, the Volanaut, but it's not designed for people my size. It just isn't. It's designed for petite little men. So, which I am not. So, I'm designing something I believe will be a lot of fun to fly around, and basically, be for someone my size. So you could look at it this way: the Volanaut's more like the Kawasaki Ninja of the flying bikes, and then the one I'm building would be more like the Harley or the Cruiser, that kind of thing. Did I miss somebody that came by? I'm sorry. I have to look down at the chat to see who's coming in. I'm on the same delay as everybody. But thanks for stopping by, if you're still here. So yeah, that's the whole idea. And in the end, this is going to be a rideable platform. Now, right now, it has the thrust to pick somebody up. It has, right now, this has got 472 pounds of thrust. And my brother wants to be a test pilot. Of course, it's not something you sit on right now, obviously, because it's a prototype that's a test platform. Realistically, the idea behind this is that it's a multi-role platform that I wanted to design for search and rescue operations, reconnaissance, or even military applications once it's finished. DARPA, if you're listening, I am accepting funding. So yeah, the idea is you have something that can go low and slow. It's pushing a mass amount of air, so it's not making a huge amount of noise, and it can basically park, spring up, and then do whatever it has to do. Just for those military people out there who might be interested in something like that. Not to mention the fact that the goal was, can I 3D print an entire engine system? And I can. Turns out I can. Now, with these fans over here that I showed, they're 340 millimeter. You got the hub that you print first, the blades print separate, and I made them friction fit. They're designed to be CNC milled, so when you print them out, they work as friction fit. You can hear the layers clicking together as you're tapping the blades in. And I have run this thing up to 5,000 RPMs. No glue on the blades, no glue holding the blades into the hub, nothing. Just friction fit. And they worked. No blade explosions, no blades broke, none of that stuff. It's working flawlessly, which is scaring the crap out of me. So, hey, Fun, how's it going? Well, I mean, you can see it behind me here. It's going well. I'm printing the fans up right now, the last couple blades for the last fan. Then we're going to start working on the casings and the duct work, just like on the outside of those. And so I'm trying to build the last two engines together as opposed to one at a time like I've been doing. I did a demo already. Yeah, when this is going to fly, so once it's done, I will definitely post a spin-up, for sure. You're going to see it. I mean, when this video drops, because this is a 70-pound drone that I have to turn sideways to get through the back garage door, it's going to be in the backyard where I started, where I do the hover test, initial hover test. It's going to kick up a lot of dirt, and again, it's going to sound like to my neighbors like it's a 747 taking off from the backyard. But it should actually be quieter because we're dealing with a lot more air volume than small EDFs. So If you look at any one of the other shorts that I put up in the playlist, the Shrike Ultra Sarop drum, um, you'll see where I've spun these engines up a few times, several times actually. I just did it on a live here earlier, um, just to kind of show. I don't know if anyone heard it. I didn't move the camera so you can see the blades, but I'm pretty sure they heard the air from it. But this is a each one of these motors is 75 volts. So we're not dealing with a standard 22.2 volt system or even a 48 volt system. We're at an 18 cell pack kind of system. Maximum RPM is 9,000. Tip speed is like 0.4 of Mach 1 on the blades. And it seems to be handling it, even the PETG seems to be handling it beautifully. The fact that I was able to spin this up to 5,500 RPMs with just a friction fitted blade, no glue, and because of the way I designed the blades to slot in, and it just spun up perfectly and there was no issues. It just goes to show that it's going to work great. Printing it in a specific way is just as important as the design. So, like, obviously the blades are they're full infill. I have one I can show you. I'll just bring over this one here. This is the last one that I'm finishing right here. And this one, basically you print the hub first, which is slotted. All the blades, the shorty blades are for the cooling system because I have metal heat sinks that sit below where the motor's mounted. And because it's an outrunner and the front face of that motor is what gets the hottest, so I have fins that come out into the airflow and that cools off the front face of the outrunner. I'm eventually going to add Peltier technology, Peltier circuits. You know, you add a 12 volt current, you get hot on one side, cold on the other, but the colder you keep the hot side, the colder the cold side gets. So this will basically blow air past the top of the heatsink on top of the Peltier, and then the heatsink on top of the motor is super chilled down to refrigerated temperatures. So that definitely helps with heat mitigation and doesn't require much power. But these blades, you can see they're you can see how, I mean, they're decent, they have flex, and they're not glued in. Nothing is glued in. This is just friction fit and knocked into place. And they handle over 5,000 RPMs just like that. The center of this is printed in a specific way. The wall thicknesses are 8, so there's an 8 wall layers. Then the infill is gyroidal at 50% because it's more of a spongy, expandable kind of infill. So what that allows this to do, because it's PETG, is it allows it to creep a little bit outwards, which stops the blade or the hub from blowing apart. That was the whole idea behind the design. So printing this in a specific way is crucial to the function of it. You're not just 3D printing a model and going, okay, you know, I'm just going to print it with the regular wall thicknesses and a standard 10% infill grid or whatever. It doesn't work like that. It would destroy itself. So the way you print this is just as important as the design itself. Eventually, like I said, I want to get that Carvera Air when I can afford it, because it has enough room and it has a 4th axis. So all I have to do is get chunks of 70-75 aluminum and I can literally mill out each one of these blades at a 7075. It's the cheapest CNC solution that I can find that I might be able to afford once I sell an organ or two. But it can also do this hub as well. But the great part about it is when I do this hub, then what I'll be able to do, there'll be a slight design change in the hub. So it'll still be slotted, but they'll have a back cap that gets bolted on, which means that the interior can be a bit more hollow than that. That'll lighten it up a little bit, lower the mass of the blade. At this point, I have a center shaft here, which is indexed, hexagonal, that goes through the entire main shaft back to the motor mount, and I won't need that hexagonal shaft after I'm able to actually mill this out of aluminum, because then everything will be bolted straight in. It still bolts straight into the fan here. The hexagonal part is because the rear of the main shaft sits inside of a tapered roller bearing that presses into the hub, the stator hub. So because of that, the rear of the shaft has to be in two pieces, and then I have to glue that with CA or epoxy over the top of that bearing. That holds it into place, and then the bearing, of course, is held in place in the hub. And that tapered roller bearing makes sure that this fan vertically is stable all the time. So the hexagonal part is necessary, unfortunately, at this point. Once it goes into a CNC system, once I'm able to cut this from aluminum, then there will be just those minor changes made. We won't need that hexagonal shaft. We won't need a stabilization bearing for the front, which is the way I have the system designed now. I have the shaft goes through and it goes into a 16304 or 6204 bearing that sits above the fan, and that goes out to the casing. And that's just for the purpose of making sure that there's no side-to-side wobble when I'm banking and maneuvering, because the main shaft itself sits on a stack of 4 bearings that are 40 bore 40 ID inner diameter, 52 outer diameter, and they're 7 millimeters high. So I stack those up, and those work perfectly to fit inside the hub. And then that handles this motion here, obviously, to keep it inside the hub, that vertical motion. But then the tapered roller bearing, because it's going to pull itself up. Since we didn't want it to pull it out of the hub, the tapered roller bearing locks it into the hub. And then the more force it has when it's pushing up, the more stable the fan is, because it's a tapered roller bearing, like you'd find on, any car wheel bearing knuckle. You got the tapered roller bearings on each side. That was the principle that I used to stabilize this fan at high RPMs. This is printed heavy on the infill because the mass of this spinning, once it gets going, the mass of this hub and the mass of the blades helps to keep that torque going. It alleviates some of the torque from the motor just because of the kinetic energy of the blade. It's going to make for slower maneuverability in the air, but you really don't want super snappy maneuverability with a drone that size. Okay, it's the size of a dirt bike almost, bigger almost. I mean, that's literally only half sitting up there. Let me read the comments here. Terry Payton, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. 3 dots, don't want to mean. Or is that just part of the name, the 3 dots? Or did you just put 3 dots? Is it like a question? Or is... I enjoy doing these lives. I do. It's actually not as warm in here right now as it's going to be. So We're gonna go as long as we can until, basically I'm able to, where I need basting, So how is everyone today? Is everyone excited? School's starting back up. I know there's a lot of parents out there are going, thank God. Luckily, I won't have very many people trespassing on my property across the street. So, since there's school now, just gotta watch for them, after school's out, make sure nobody's over there. I don't want them getting hurt over there. What is it about a fence and a sign that says no trespassing? That compels someone to go, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. Because most of the kids do it. They don't care. I mean, I get it. I was a kid. I like to explore once. When I was younger, that's a winery that's well over 100 years old. So I understand the curiosity, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep them all safe. Because there's old pits for the auger screws for the grapes. And then there's the mechanical works underneath that. And then there's a whole bunch of tunnels that go all the way out to the river. But they're all full of water. And under one of the actual auger pits, it's full almost to the surface with water. Very stagnant, very old water, like the movie It kind of water. Okay. So, yeah, you fall into that, then I'm not going after you. Terry just walked in and went, dot, dot, dot. Hey, that's fine. Maybe they're deaf and they can't speak. Just a joke, I know, because there's a keyboard, And, yeah. Yeah, whatever works, right? So everybody is excited for the new season coming up. I've seen so many reels where everyone's just like, summer, be gone. And it's the funniest thing. Every time I scroll through the reels, that's all it is. Like Christmas music, snow, fall leaves and stuff like that. Everyone's ready for summer to be done. We're like talking to the planet right now to see if we can't just fire summer altogether. And because, we want to grow stuff, all we need is spring, right? Well, we need summer for it. So, yeah. And oranges grow in cooler climates and weather, so fruits and vegetables, all in the spring. And in the winter months, as it gets colder, we really don't need summer. We don't. I've got Norwegian blood and everything else, and Scottish and Irish. So we don't like the sun. That's why we wear kilts. Keep the grapes nice and cool. Sorry. Had to throw that one out there. Well, yeah, it's got out drawing Power Concepts. Don't make me come find you. You guys are great, though. I love it when I do the lives. I used to get a lot of attention on the lives before. I think I was prettier back then. I'm kidding. I'm playing with you. But yeah, men typically just don't get a lot of attention on doing lives and YouTube and stuff like that. Mainly because we don't have tits. And that's the sad truth of how it works nowadays. So, That's just the sad truth. I literally thought about hiring a couple of Hooters girls just to stand behind me the whole time I'm doing this, just because I figured then people would watch the live. But I don't think my wife would approve. And I'm not going to put my wife on camera because that's all mine. But give me 1 second. Have a feast your eyes on the drone for a moment. And then close to the end of the stream, we'll give you a walk around of the thing so you kind of get an idea of the sheer size of this thing. What's the yeah for? I'm just trying to feed the algorithm, you know how it works. But think about it. If it were anyone but me, if it was a female doing this, how many more subscribers do you think there would be? How many more watchers do you think there would be? I mean, seriously. It's like YouTube knows it too. You know? Not to knock them, they're just trying to make, you know, money, but like everybody else, but I think they have enough. Time for them to give some to me. But there's people out there that'll watch videos they've already seen on YouTube, as long as there is a female reacting to them. Yeah, I mean, compare it between male and female doing the same thing, doing reaction videos, and tell me who gets more views. The nature of the beast, right? I actually started a channel that I haven't worked on yet, because when I thought about it, I thought, I don't know if this would go anywhere, just because of the fact that I'm a male doing it, and it was called the Reaction Reactor. Actually, the channel exists. I just haven't put anything on it yet, because I honestly get to the point where I'm like, I mean, is this gonna be worth it? Being a male and trying to do a reaction video kind of channel. There's so many of them out there already that the competition is pretty thick, and I'm a male, so no one's really gonna watch me above anybody else. So I could trick everyone with the thumbnail and put like an AI generated woman up there with a surprised reaction on her face over a video, and then everyone would jump in and see me and be like, "Hey, what the this is BS, man." I may try that as a social experiment just to see what happens. Oh man, I don't even know how many people I have watching, because it seems like the YouTube analytics are not as fast. And you'd think computers would be faster. So, but the information I get, yeah, I definitely will do that. The information that I get is like, it shows 2 people are watching. But I don't know what it really is, because it's either less or more than that. So I'm obviously not grabbing as much attention with the lives anymore like I used to. But for some reason, if I put this on the MPCNC, all of a sudden 12,000 views. Like people, like literally 12,000 people on watching me cut a piece of wood on the MPCNC. So apparently, drilling a piece of wood or CNC cutting something out on the machine is more entertaining than I am, I guess. It's weird. It's kind of, my content's a little bit sort of niche content. It falls between the hobby of FPV and drones, experimental engineering, and experimental propulsion and engineering, and stuff that you normally wouldn't expect to see. But it's amazing to me how much, and I think it's just because they've got a lot of flight videos already done of that Volanot bike, that somebody gets on. The short, the little guy that gets on it. Because I guarantee you that thing ain't lifting my ass. And I guarantee you you're not banking in it either. Because it's just one jet. I mean, you're going to have to be pulling serious G's in order to bank that thing like a motorcycle. Because you don't, you're just going to go whoop. So, unless he gimbals the engines, I'm just saying, if you gimbal it, if it's a vectored thrust, you might actually get a good, decent bank out of that when you're hitting a corner. Otherwise, you're betting your life on luck and the fact that you can defeat gravity. So, yeah. While it would probably be fun to ride that thing, I just don't. For me, having something that's burning kerosene that close to my, junk is just not something I want to do. Imagine if the blades came apart on that thing, or something broke, and basically every single important aspect of who you are, all your arteries and your legs, and your central, goodies, are all within the line of fire of what happens to that turbine if it goes. So, yeah. While it's a great idea for somebody who might weigh 30 pounds, it's still not something I don't think I'd ever do. That's why I went full electric. This is electric, and it eventually will run off of hydrogen, but not hydrogen in the sense where it burns hydrogen, but electricity, like a hydrogen-powered car still uses electricity. It just uses hydrogen to make the electricity. So I found, oh my gosh, it's A10. He's arrived. Brr. How you doing, man? Been a while. Yes, I haven't done a garage live in a long time, but that's because it's basically been a small rotisserie oven in here for a couple of weeks. So, now ultimately, what's going to happen is with this drone, we're going to do a maiden. My brother wants me to fly him around on it. I told him you're going to have to get a harness, like for a parachute. Something with D-rings at the top, so we can hook you up. Because I'm going to have to lift you with it, because I didn't design this platform to be ridden on yet. This is the prototype. And I told him, I said, I don't know if those PETG blades for the prototype, it'll work great flying its own weight around. But with fan resistance on those PETG blades, picking up somebody is going to be, it's going to put a lot of stress on the blades, which is why I wanted to CNC those blade systems. Which is why that Carvera error. If Carvera error, Makira, Carvera error, whoever made that. If you're listening, which they're probably not, because most people aren't. Hopefully they'll, maybe they'll send me one. and I'll show the world how wonderful their machine is by making this with metal blades. Well, yeah, of course they always mysteriously disappear because you don't want to mess with the oil industry. But what I don't understand is why everyone's like, it's mainly political at this point. Everyone was save the earth, go EV, and then all of a sudden Elon starts doing the whole, finding all the stolen money thing. And now everyone hates EVs. So it's like, overnight, all of a sudden they didn't care about the planet anymore. It's hilarious. But that's how the social media works, I guess, right? He creates something that everyone is totally for, and then everyone's like trying to pass this mandate, like everyone by this time everyone has to be in an electric car. Like, first off, I'm on vet benefits. I mean, you're not making me buy an electric car at all. Okay, that ain't happening. Why? Because you're not building them for people in my income bracket. You keep saying this is a new innovation, and it's for the world, so we can make the world cleaner. But you can't afford to help make the world cleaner because you don't have the money to buy an EV. Why? Because they're too damn expensive. So yeah, I'm gonna keep pumping out that precious dinosaur juice for the rest of my life in my Hemi. So yeah, even if I'm the last one, everyone's walking around in their little Jetson mobiles. I'm gonna be just turning off that traction control and just burning out of the driveway. That's all there is to it. So yeah. Oh, and I agree. EVs are worse than diesel because people. Here's the mind trick that everyone's used to, and this is why I know that most people wouldn't survive a month without the infrastructure that we have in place. Nobody knows how to live in the wild. Nobody knows how to hunt. Nobody knows how to gather their own food or survive. And the point I'm trying to make is they're delusional about their survival as much as they are delusional about EVs. What are you doing? Think about it. You're not burning gasoline. You feel better about yourself. Aww. But the people who are supplying the electricity for you to charge your electric car are now having to work on a huge power demand, and they still use fossil fuels. Coal, nuclear, all the stuff you guys hate. Not you guys, but you know who I'm talking about. But you, in your own little, narrow vision, who has the EV, since the world revolves around just you think you're doing a great job for the environment. And all you've done is take your nasty carbon footprint, which by the way doesn't matter, and you've placed it somewhere else. You've given it to somebody else and you feel better. Do you know what that's akin to? That's like, you know what? You just robbed a bank, but you're going to give the money to charity. I mean, really? I mean, that's just, hey, how you doing? BD8707, welcome to the chat. Appreciate you. I'm on the same delay as everybody else is because I'm using the front end of my camera on the phone. So I have to watch it on the tablet. So if I don't see you right away, no disrespect, but I do see you. So yeah, the idea behind people saying, the whole climate change BS, I mean, come on. Everyone's saying it's like our carbon level's this much. And if you drop it anywhere below that, you're going to kill the plant life on the planet. And then we're all going to have to just eat the vegans. Because they're going to be the only ones left. Because all the animal life will die off. Like, we've got to drop the carbon foot. I mean, come on. You know, I get not having a nuclear power plant dump radioactive water into the ocean. I understand that. But you saying that your CO2 emissions are causing the problem and we need to stop that. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be walking around with a ticket book with a $1,500 fine. And every time somebody farts, see you in court. I mean, that's how ridiculous the whole thing is. Think about it. There's volcanoes erupting now. We have seismic activity like crazy. And everybody thinks it's because of human carbon footprint? Yeah, it was totally your fault. You started up your car, you puffed out a gallon of gas out of the tailpipe. You got to where you were going, but you set off a volcano. I mean, the logic behind it is just straight ridiculous. You know, it drives me insane. You're like, you don't care about the climate. You know, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to care about the climate. The climate's going to take care of itself. If the Earth doesn't want us here, it's going to shake us off just like that. Don't worry about it. What power supply do I think is the safest? Honestly, I think that if we ever, you know, create cold fusion, which is way far off, because they, you know, that would probably be the best. Hydrogen right now is the best option because you can burn hydrogen and the byproduct is water, and you can use hydrogen in PEM membranes to create electricity, and the byproduct is oxygen and water. And to me, that's the best solution if you want a renewable power. So I'm not talking about healing the planet from carbon footprints. Who gives a damn? The planet's got more. If you lower it too much, plant life dies. Right now, it's at what, 0.4%? If you go below 0.3, plant life starts to die off. Okay, that's what happens. There was a reason why they call it greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse. Dan, welcome. He's like, farts. That's it. $1,500 fine for you. You know, it's like AOC walking out. You know, I did a meme once where after AOC said that cows were the issue, where I had a picture of a cow, and she said the straws were also an issue. So in order to basically solve both issues, I did a meme where I had a cow with a straw stuck in its butt going down into the ground. Problem solved. Straws have a new home. Greenhouse gas emissions go back into the earth. A lot of people found that picture funny, but, you know. I mean, why are we taking advice from a bartender? You know? Why? She knows more about science than, you know, and how the earth works than somebody who studied it for years? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's like, look, just AOC, I'm trying to be respectful, but I honestly don't care about being respectful to you. Sit down, shut up, make a martini. And the next time your man says make a sandwich, just get your ass in there and make a sandwich. Try not to make policy anymore, okay? Because if the world was run by women, every 30 days there'd be a war with somebody. And that's not me being sexist, it's just facts. You want a premenopausal woman to run the United States of America? I mean, come on. And everybody hates Trump, whether he's on the list or not, right? And they're like, he can release the list, but they're rejecting his name. I'm like, every other freaking presidency could have released that list. They didn't do it. They did not do it. Ask ChatGPT if you want to confirm it. They didn't do it. Why? Because a lot of those presidents are on that list. And some of the real pieces of work, like Schumer and Schiff, those guys are disgusting sacks of meat. They're still walking around, acting like they're innocent. And Gavin Newsom is a bitch. Bottom line. That's all there is to it. Take a whole shit ton of money to build a high-speed rail, and we got 300 feet of concrete nothing. Wouldn't even turn the water on when the Palisades were on fire. Gee, I wonder what his plan was. This happened, when something like this happens more than once, which it has, it kind of makes you think, what are they doing? You know what they're doing. They want their 15-minute cities. They want everybody shoved into one small area so they can have the rest of the world to themselves. But what they haven't banked on is the same thing that every other country that wants to invade us or destroy us knows. That even if you got past our military, there would be a ton of really big ass trucks and NASCARs running down the freeway. And we have way more armaments than the military, okay? In the private sector. Even Japan knew that they wouldn't invade the United States because there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. The emperor himself said that. Yeah, I hear you. Gavin Newsom's a piece of shit. And I pardon my profanity, but there really is no other way to explain that person. I mean, Pelosi's nephew. I mean, look at Pelosi. She every time she gets behind the podium, she sounds like a turkey trying to make sounds. She can't even get it. It's like, I'm surprised she's not even just, like, screw it, Nancy, we know you're drunk. Just bring your freaking Crown Royal and your shot glass up to the podium. We know already, okay? We know you're not going to get a sentence out. You sound like you're chewing on the top half of your face, and you're not making any sense anyway. It's like Biden, only female. And don't get me wrong, I feel sorry for Biden and him having to deal with life-threatening, conditions and things like that. But when he was president, he didn't know where he was. And he wasn't running the country anyway. It was Obama and his husband that were running the country. And they were doing it through him. I swear, it was like the best Jeff Dunham impression I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, she is nuts, dude. I'm telling you, she is straight up nuts. This is why we need. Yes, when it came to Biden, it was elder abuse. I agree with that completely. So, regardless of what kind of man he is, how disgusting he is, sniffing babies and hair, little kids and stuff like that, he was being used. And he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was just following the script. And they were using him for that. And then Pelosi singing his praises after he gets elected. It's like he's just like a high school sweetheart to her. Like, I'm so glad that Biden's in office. I'm so happy. It's like, bitch, shut up. So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's all it is. It's a game to them. They don't care. You think that, look at all the stolen money they found. Who cares if a woman in Afghanistan is going to go to a class to teach her to understand contemporary art. She's in a country where they want bread, not projectors showing a picture of a banana taped to a frickin' wall. They don't care about that crap. What's this meaning for you? The meaning for her is she wants to eat the damn banana. She's hungry. I mean, I don't understand these people. And they're like, we're so mad at Elon because he stole all this money or found it. No, the Democrats are mad because Elon took away their money they were using for the mortgage payments on their $1 million mansions. What's the salary of a U.S. senator? Look at the houses that they live in. If there isn't obvious corruption there, I mean, come on. Come on. You know, that's like somebody walking up to you while seeing a raging forest fire and going, I think there's a fire over there. I can tell by the smoke and the flames. You need to wake up as a country, man. And you all know who I'm talking about. There's a lot more of us than there are of them. These are the same people who put up signs that say gun-free zone. Need I say more? Like a criminal's going to walk up and go, ah, damn it. We can't commit any crimes here today, guys. There's a sign. Because I have property across the street where I have signs that say no dumping. You know what people do? They dump shit there. Okay? They dump stuff there. I'm going to try and stop with the cursing. Soldier, sorry. But yeah, that's what they do. And if they see a fence, they know they're not supposed to trespass. What do? They trespass. I have cameras and flashbangs, so I find them and then they get arrested or they get trespassed. And I'm not doing it just because I don't want them to trespass. That's part of it, because it's none of their business, not their property. They need to stay the hell off of it. But I'm doing it to keep them from falling into one of the 30-foot cisterns of very murky, slimy water that I'm not going in to get you out of. You fall in there, you better learn how to pray with whatever air you got left in your lungs, because that's your final resting place. We found Waldo! Again! Look, everyone! Pay attention, Internet! Waldo has been found. You know what's interesting about that, Waldo, is most of the newer generation aren't going to know what the hell we're talking about. Ugh. But we do. That's all that matters. That's right, Waldo. That's right. Hell yeah, I'll vote for Brandon Hera. He'll be like, my first executive order is that everyone has a gun room. That's now signed into law. Yeah, I'd vote for him. Who else are you going to vote for? The only other running mates are going to be either Shrek and Donkey, who ran last time against Trump, or a bunch of pedos who think that we don't know what's going on. You know? Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for trafficking to no one. I mean, come on, give me a break. The ANC. Yeah, Brandon Herrera, I definitely would. He's got a head on his shoulders, and I think he could do a good job. I think he understands what this country's about, what it was founded on, and I think we need to get back to that. See, because it's not a democracy. It's a democratic republic. In other words, you can vote, but this country was founded as a republic. I think Brandon knows that, and I think he wants to get back to that, where we're all helping each other instead of fighting. Because everyone thinks that the last administration did a great job of running the country, but how divided did the whole country become? You know? We got past segregation, slavery hundreds of years ago. And yeah, there's still a-holes out there that still, you know, act like that to people, which they shouldn't. They're human beings. Doesn't matter what color their skin is. But my point was that they divided the entire country based on those ideas. They divided everyone based on color. To where every single person out there now believes that we, you know, they call me white because of the pigment in my skin. They call me white. I'm not. I'm Irish. I'm English. I'm from Spain. My grandmother was Cherokee Indian. I have Montauk ancestors. I have Spanish ancestors. I have related to, you know, all of the people on the English side of the Yorks, the Plantagenets, Queen Philippa, France. They're all in my family tree, all of them. Robert the Bruce. I mean, you name it. Okay, so I'm technically not white and was a slave long before any of them. So I don't want to hear any of that crap. Was it horrible? Yeah, it was horrible, but we fixed it. We fixed it. You know? When somebody does something and goes to jail and does time, they get back out, they carry around that nostalgia of being the person who did that thing. But they've served their time. So leave them the hell alone. They do it again, put them back in jail. Then we know we got a pattern we have to deal with. But if they did something stupid, when jail fort got out, learned their lesson, and they were rehabilitated, leave them alone. That's the principle behind all this. There's people out there who act a certain way. There are racists out there. And they don't care who knows it. That's ignorance. That's small people being small. Okay? Because that's all they know how to do. But on the grand scheme of things, it's like, I don't care what color your skin is. You're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a bad person, you're a bad person. It's all about the person. And then that goes back to gun laws as well. Everyone's like, guns are dangerous. No, people with guns are dangerous. Guns by themselves aren't, unless you're a SIG P320. And then that one is dangerous by itself. But other than that, the gun doesn't pull its own trigger, except for the SIG P320. So, yeah, I mean, that one, we can keep every other gun except the SIG P320. We'll give those to the enemy. How's that? SIG, you can make a lot of money right now just by selling your P320 to enemy forces like Hezbollah. In a week, they'd all be gone. Be the best thing that you could ever do. So, SIG, I encourage you to send all your P320s to terrorist organizations. Then we wouldn't have anything to worry about. They'd all be gone within a week. They'd all be gone with it. I'd be surprised if they didn't get unalived just by opening up the package of the P320. So, yeah, there's a plan there. And even if there's a failure in a gun design, there's always a plus side to it. So, I think we should go there. Yeah. Oh, so many random thought patterns. I'm telling you. Man, I can't wait for the maiden on this thing. Even running one engine in here is awe-inspiring. The sound, the deep, throaty turbine sound because of how big that fan is. And now times 4. This thing's either going to take off and fly beautifully, or those fans are going to detonate when I spin it up. Either way, it's going to be a beautifully historic maiden. So I did put out a teaser video. It was my last long run video that I put out. It was just kind of to show where I'm at. 60% complete. So yeah, it's definitely been a journey, especially when you're building something like this with one printer, just one, and 28 kilograms of PETG, 28 rolls, 4 75-volt motors, 4 18 SESCs. There is no power distribution board for this. I'm literally using a bus bar, a 75-volt bus bar for a power system, like a standard AC power system, just to distribute the power to the ESCs, because they do not, nobody makes one. I may end up designing one myself for these type of applications, but nobody makes a 75-volt power distribution system that can handle 600 amps. So yeah, at least not in the drone enthusiast market. DJI doesn't even have that. So I don't like DJI anyway, you know. I'm gonna crush DJI with these designs. I got a lot more stuff coming out. I know they're a big company, but they are from China, and eventually, you know, we're just not gonna want China's crap in our backyard. That's all there is to it. Do you think someone could make a small 810 Warthog with a working mini Thaw 8 using 22? I don't know if I can answer that on a live. I mean, I get what you're saying. I would not encourage that at all. But as far as a theoretical feasibility, I think that at the rate of fire, that it would have to be a very, very heavy model. That's what I think. But do I suggest doing it? No. I honestly think that that would get somebody in a lot of trouble. Now, airsoft, that's another thing. I think that would be cool. Neon colored BBs for the airsoft, and then a black light that's in the center of the Gatling. And then when it fires, you can see those, it looks like tracers. Just like, you know how they have those airsoft guns that have that fire the neon colored plastic BBs that have a blue light on it. When it fires, it looks like a tracer. I think we could do something like that in a model. But never would I ever suggest using any kind of lethal type firearms on any kind of remote controlled vehicle whatsoever. It is against the law, it is dangerous, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself seriously injured or injure somebody else. So stick with airsoft. It's a fun idea, but stick with airsoft. Why does that sound like the beginning of a song? It should be Maya E and then Maya haha. Welcome to the chat. I think they got the joke. Yes. People are responding. Oh wait, what did I do? There we go. Yeah. Let's get some reactions going. What is this thing doing? That's not the right reaction, is it? Is this thing off? What is that showing up there? Well, this thing is... This thing's malfunctioning. It's showing my... Is that showing my symbol? What's coming up on the screen? I see little circles. Hold on, I'm going to take a closer look at this. I have no idea what I'm seeing. It's all just little circles. There's no graphic. Yeah, it's not showing up on my end. Well, no, I'm broadcasting from the phone, but I'm watching on a tablet to keep up with the chat because I usually use the front of the camera on the phone as opposed to everything being reversed. If I use the front camera on the phone, I use the rear camera is what I mean. And it's a higher resolution, gives you guys a better view. It gives me a little delay in chat, but you know, at least I can still answer the question. So now my PC's in there right now printing more blades. Actually, the last set of blades, it's going to go into the fourth fan that I'm done, that I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to start printing up the hubs, the stator casings for those. Yeah, it's never done that before. That's kind of weird. On my side, it's just coming up as circles, like placeholders. But you know, to recommend a 3D printer, it really is about what you want to do. Hold on, let me answer this question, and then I will. I'll get to that. What's in the background? The printer I use is a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon. This is completely, totally based on what your budget is. Okay, you can get this machine. It's not that expensive anymore. I got it when it was around $1,500 for the bundle with the AMS. I like it because I don't have to do any bed leveling, none of that stuff. And there's a lot of AI that's inside that machine, a lot of programming. I have a lot of successful prints. And this entire drone has been printed on one nozzle. Just one. And this is taking 28 kilograms of PETG. So to answer the question, I think X1 Carbon, A1 Mini if you need something a little bit cheaper, but I would stay with Bamboo Labs because their technology is progressing and it's just getting better and better. And I enjoy their printers. So I definitely would recommend a Bamboo Lab printer. Maybe they'll send me a new one. Maybe another flagship model to test out for them. So what in the, okay, so Maya he, Maya haha. What's behind me? This is half of a drone. This is 5 feet by 5 feet. It runs 340 millimeter 11 blade high pass fans with 75 volt motors. I will show you the entire system close to the end of the stream. I'll bring it over here so you can take a look at it. The drone is massive. So yeah, it's basically I like EDF drones. I don't like open props. The idea behind this was to design a closed prop system so that I can have maneuverability. Eventually, future versions of this, the nacelles themselves will actually gimbal, which will give me the opportunity to turn the entire thing from the horizontal to the vertical on the body and still have the engines facing straight up, so it's like a book sliding into a shelf almost, so it can navigate through small gaps in trees and things like that. Because eventually I want it to be able to be used as a search and rescue platform or a reconnaissance platform or something that maybe DARPA, if they're listening, will fund me for. Maybe Lockheed would be interested. I'm sure they'll probably build something better than mine anyway. It doesn't matter, they have all the money in the world. But hey, when you're 3D printing one on a budget, there you go. Did I make 4? Well, I have 2 engines completed. These are completed here. And then these 2 fans down here on the table are for the next 2 of those that are going to go on the other side of the body, which I will show you here in just a few. So yeah, basically the idea is everything like this nacelle is going to basically, it's that way all the way around. There's 4 of these total, and yeah, and I'll show it to you. Maybe we'll I don't know if you can hear it. You'll have to tell me if you hear it. I'll try and do a spin up of it really quickly. Because I did it earlier, and I was knocking stuff off the table. Where is that thing? There it is. Okay, so I gotta plug this up. Still good? Okay. Bear with me. Alright. Move this out of the way so it doesn't get blown off. The fans shouldn't move because I'm not going to RPM this thing up very high. It's not strapped down. It's sitting on 5-gallon buckets. Hold on. It wants me to recalibrate. Okay. All right. Hopefully you can hear it. You all ready? All right. It's not strapped down. Sorry I had to show you my butt there. I had to catch this fan. What did I knock off this time? Oh, the light. Yeah, the other light. Anyway, okay. So that's how that works. So let me show you really quickly, sort of a close-up. Gotta unplug the phone. It's gonna tell me it's not finished.
I wasn't finished.
I love this phone. All right. Actually, don't. All right. So to give you kind of a close-up.
barely at idle speed because I don't want to risk. Okay. So that's kind of nerve-wracking that it's not strapped down. So now that we've done that, I'll give you a quick walk around really quick. So this is the overall body design, as you can see. And it's a massive drone. There is a center portion here that's gonna hold. I have these big carbon fiber rods for structural integrity. I got to cut down when I get it installed here. There's two platforms here. There's one that sits here for the power system, and then there's one that sits here for the control system. This is the front of the drone right here. So this back half will have the same nacelles as this one does, same lighting. There's going to be lighting in the body as well. I have PET or TPU Arduino mounts, things like that I'm going to be installing to run everything. And then, as you can see, I'm running out of table space for this thing. So I think I can actually get one of these fit on this side and it'll sit directly on the table. So that way I can kind of keep working on it in here. And then I have to build an actual cart that, I've actually designed the cart already because of how big this drone is. If you look, obviously, that's a 5-gallon bucket. So the cart is so that I can turn the drone up on its side, set it on the cart. It has pneumatic wheels, and I can roll it through doorways so that I can get out to the backyard and set everything up for the maiden. So, yep, all PETG. This fan's almost done. I've got the rest of the blades printing for this right now. Then we're going to start working with the putting together. Hold on. I don't want to stick my hand in there yet until I unplug the battery. Come on. Unplug, damn you! There we go. Now I don't have to worry about destroying my hand. Okay, so as you can see down in there, you can see the motor, which is a 7070. There are aluminum cooling fins there. Those actually take the heat from the top half of the outrunner, and the wind itself actually blows past that, cooling off the outrunner. I'm going to use Peltier circuits on top of those later on to super chill those, and then the fan will cool off the hot side of the Peltier, which will make the entire thing refrigerated, which means the motor will run much, much cooler. Do I have one that I already cut sitting around here? Yeah, they kind of look like this. And they go on top of the motor on the mount. This is the actual motor mount right here. Then the motor sits on that. Peltiers go here, super chill this aluminum. And that in turn cool, because the front face of that outrunner is where you're going to get most of your heat. So that's why you want to make sure that it's cool. Because there is some fan resistance that does create some heat, but I've only been testing at 48 volts. So once and that's just for structural integrity. So once we get to the point where we are testing at 75 volts, the heat's actually going to drop that the engine makes. So I'm not real worried about that. So here, let me set the phone back up so I can kind of show you. Let me give you a kind of an overall without falling over of how this thing looks. This is how big it is. Okay, 5-gallon buckets kind of gives you some perspective. Yeah, and it's a big one. All right. Alrighty. So let me go shut this thing off. All right. So yeah, it's a big drone. Hold on, let me plug the power supply back up so my phone doesn't die. So you see, that's how I'm watching you guys right there, because I'm not watching the front. Hold on. There we go. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was the idea behind this one. What really got me to build this drone this size was the fact that I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on expensive, large EDF engines that take like 120 cell battery systems. This is running off 18, 75 volts. And if you do it right, you can cool it properly, and you can get the thrust you're looking for. It's 11 blade high pass configuration on the fan. It is a multi-pitch airfoil design for the blade. I have another one that I've done that I'm going to print up. That's a 3-blade system, but it's meant for a small 650 kV 22.2 volt motor. But it's still roughly, 300 millimeters. But it's a 3-blade. So we're going to test that one out too, to see if the fan resistance overloads the motor or if it's a viable solution for another engine type. So I just love doing this stuff. Create stuff on Fusion 360, send it out as an STL, pull it into Bamboo Studio, cut it up so it fits on the plates, and then, print it out. Now the hub and the blades, obviously I had to separate. They're not going to fit on the plate all by themselves, being that big. If I could print it in one piece, I'd love to, but I can't because I don't have a printer big enough. Bamboo Labs doesn't have a 300 well, they say they have a 350 by 350, I think, on the H2D, but I think they're coming out with a different one. If they give me a print bed that has 350, I could print this whole fan in one piece, which would be really cool to do. It would make things a lot easier. But what I think they should do is also make it to where you can choose what sections are full infill and what sections are partial infill on one object. I think that would be crucial. Like, okay, you have, you pull up, because they have these, in Bamboo Studio, you can add positive and negative parts to where you can make it to where it can print something extra inside Bamboo Studio, or not print a specific part by adding a certain amount of geometry to it. But what they haven't done, Bamboo, if you're listening, this is my idea, so you gotta give me credit for it. Variable infill. So if I have a fan that spans the length of the bed, I want the blades to be solid, and I want the interior walls to be solid, but I want the infill itself to be 55% gyroidal at the hub, but I want to print it all in one area, so you should be able to take a cylinder and place it and go, okay, this is where your infill is going to be this much, and then outside of that, this is your infill is going to be the 100%. So I think we should have a variable infill design built into the system, because it's just G-code. The only other way around that is knowing how thick your blades are and making your external wall thicknesses, like instead of doing 2 wall thickness, you do like 8 or 10, and then you could still get full solid blades and still have an infill of your choosing for the main hub. So, but I still think variable infills should be something that we should add to 3D printer technology, instead of just getting stuck with, I'm doing one print, I need this part to be solid, but I need this part to have infill to save on material and weight, so on and so forth. Yeah, it would make things easier. And I think if Bamboo Labs is listening, they're going to take the idea. They're going to be like, we were thinking of that for years. Well, just remember, all of you watching, you heard it here first. Variable infill, single object prints, variable infill, my idea. Unless somebody already thought about it. You are my witnesses. But, yeah. 1:30. So, honestly, I hope that you all have enjoyed the kind of chat and hangout and update on what's going on with this system. You guys, I try to keep you updated with shorts when I have, shorts videos when I have another piece that comes off or to show you where we're going. And then when I do the longer run videos, it's because I'm doing an assembly or I'm doing a flight, or I'm doing a teaser trailer or something like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you guys stopped by, and I hope you're here for the rest of it, because when this thing takes off, whether, like I said, whether it takes flight smoothly and flawlessly, or explodes, it's going to be fun either way. And if it proves itself, and I can start experimenting with lifting different weights, start with a 25-pound weight underneath it, pull it up, see how the fan reacts. If I get up to about 150 pounds with the PETG blades and everything was working smoothly, then my brother would like to go for a flight. So he wants to put on a harness, some D-rings. I'm going to put it on 4 corners of the motors, set up a rig, and then he wants me to pull him off the ground. Obviously, I'm not going to go very high off the ground because his insurance policy hasn't matured yet. So we're going to keep it under 20 feet. Once his insurance policy matures, we'll go up to 400. But other than that, he's going to sign a waiver. I'm going to make sure he signs a waiver first. Like, that you might not survive this project. But he wants to fly. He wants me to do it. He's like, do it. He goes, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm like, you know what? Fine. We will fly you around the baseball field with the Shrike Ultra. But you're going to be hanging from the bottom of it because it's not designed to sit on yet. There's going to be a larger version of this, believe it or not, that will replace what you know as an off-road quad. You'll be able to fly all around the place. They're going to have the same footprint as a quad. You'll be able to fly through the wilderness, like pod racers, And then, you could have one in your garage, wheel it out, fly to the store, pick up some groceries, come back, not have to worry about traffic. Yeah, that'd be fun. So, yeah, there will eventually be a rideable version of this, but it has to be done out of CNC materials. And I have to make sure that the proof of concept. I'm going to be the one who actually rides the finished product first, over and over again, to prove its reliability before I ever decide to market something like this. But we're getting closer to that with this prototype, and that's the future of air travel that I would like to start introducing. And then eventually scaling it up, you actually have a flying car. Not these flying cars that they say are flying cars, but they have like 8 propellers, 8 motors, and you need a helicopter pad to land. So, no, I need some. My goal was to create something that took up the footprint of a standard SUV, but would still allow you to drive on the road. So you can drive on the road, or you can go airborne. Real simple. I know it sounds like a big dream, but we landed on the moon, so there's that. You got to keep making things. I mean, I bet everyone thought that Henry Ford was crazy.
this is the way we make things. This is how we innovate. This is how we make new things. This is how we make the future. And it starts by people in their garage. Bill Gates started out, he's a piece of crap that wants to kill everyone, but he started off Microsoft in his garage. Bezos started off in a tiny little office before Amazon blew up, into this huge corporation. So there's no reason why I can't start in my garage. And with all the support of people like you out there who enjoy the content, who enjoy the conversation, I'm not going to fail. With this community, I won't fail. And it'll be because of you guys. So make sure you watch all my videos. Make sure you watch the chill and relax videos at night, because I run audio, because I'm trying to get those watch hours up. I'm almost there. You want to break those watch hours, so spread the word. Tonight you'll see another one. It'll be shop after hours, relax, chill, live music. I pay for all the licenses for these music. So I do all that for you guys. So you get to see this thing glowing at night. Turn your TV's brightness down. Run the audio. It's great sleep music if you're the type of person that can listen to music while you sleep, or it helps. The tracks that I have that I'm playing tonight are mellow. You'll enjoy them. I also have past lives that I've done that use the same tracks, but I try to change up the scenery a little bit, with these guys sitting on turbines and stuff like that, But the idea is that you guys get to listen to some live music. You get to watch a print going. And I'll warn you ahead of time. I have the printer going up in the corner, but with the Bamboo Lab camera, it likes to shut down after a while. It's timed for some reason. I don't know why. So I'll refresh it every time I can when I'm printing an object. And the printer, because I always like to keep the printer on screen with the live, so that you can kind of, like, if you wake up, look, hey, look, that thing's almost done. If it ever goes just blanked out, you see the printer window, but it's, fogged out, it says Bamboo Lab. It's because I've passed out on the keyboard. And I haven't refreshed the screen, because I try my best to to stay up pretty much. I think I've been up for about 1.5 years now. I'll sleep eventually. But the idea is, my concern, my goal is to make content for people. To make something new here, obviously, but also to entertain, to talk to people, to get to know you guys, to know my audience. Not like the people, most of the people out there who run a live and they don't even pay attention to the comments coming through. But I want to be able to get to know the people. So when you guys make comments, I answer. I don't even think that there's one that I haven't answered. And if there is, let me know. I'll find it and answer it. I try to answer every single comment. I try to engage with every single subscriber. Because this is a community. That's what this is about. And that's what this is about. Because we can do what we want here. America. So I'm building a big ass drone. I'm going to fly it all over the place. I guarantee you, I get this thing up to my FAA ceiling of 400 feet with the light patterns that I have on it. There's going to be a UFO sighting on the news. That's what we're going for. And that would be awesome. Can you imagine? Somebody somebody having a chopper out, like a news crew going, "What is that?" Zooming. That would be epic. So that's the goal for this maiden. Well, the first maiden is the goal to make sure that it flies and doesn't explode, but the second one will be definitely going up to an altitude where people are stopping and going, "Is that a UFO?" So yeah, that's going to be fun. So keep watching for that one. And like I said, be sure to check out those Shop After Hours videos and check out the rest of my videos
You'll love them. Check out the different playlists. Shrike, Javelin, you name it. I've got it out there. And I'm constantly working on these projects. And if I haven't done updates on one project, it's because obviously I'm dead in the middle of this one. But I'll get to them. So, for sure, I would definitely appreciate you guys sharing those videos, getting the word out there. This is what this guy's doing. It's insane. You'll love it. And that helps me out. And if it helps me out, it helps me to put more content out there. Because, you know, when I'm fully monetized, then I can afford to keep doing this stuff. So, it's expensive. It's expensive. Especially for ESCs and things like that. But I'm making it. I ain't gonna quit either. I'm disabled vet. This is what I do. I'm a garage engineer. Well, I have a degree in engineering, but it's mainly my hobby. This is my hobby and my passion, and I want to share it with everybody. So that's the whole goal. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. So, with that being said, what we're going to do now is get ready to sign off. And I want you all.
I wasn't finished.
You never are, phone. I want you all to know that this drone, this is for my viewers. This is for all of you right here. And this is going to be one of the most epic maiden flights of any drone that has ever been built, because it is the only drone right now that's out there on the internet. Trust me, I checked. It's the only drone of this scale, fully 3D printed, that actually is functional, that will fly. Only one in the world. And you guys get to see it first. So as always, from everyone here at DPC, I want to thank you so much for dropping by. Don't forget about watching the after hours. And always remember that you guys are the reason why I'm here. You're awesome. Love you all. And I will see you next time.